Welcome to the eighth week of our online learning. My beloved seventh graders, how have you been? How are you? Hope you've been learning. Hope you've been understanding. Now, before we go into the topic of today, we shall be running through the topics we've treated so far. Now, in our first week, we treated folk songs, Nigerian and Western. Here we talked about what folk songs are, and we also listed some examples of Nigerian folk songs and Western folk songs. Now, in our second week, we talked about drama, elements of drama, where we mentioned the name of an ancient Greek philosopher, Aristotle, and his six elements of drama. In the third week, we treated scales, definition, and kinds, where we defined scale and we talked about two kinds of scale, which is the diatonic and the chromatic. In our fourth week, we talked about recorder music one, where you were taught about the basics of a recorder, how to hold and how to produce sound. In our fourth week, we were taught degree names of major scales. Degree names of major scales, where you were also taught about the technical names, the tonic, the supertonic, the mediant, the subdominant, the dominant, the submedian, the leading note, and the octave. Now, in our sixth week, we had our quiz. And after our quiz was the seventh week. After our quiz, we was the seventh week, and we treated major scales, tetrachord, tones, and semitones. Now, this week we shall be treating musical forms, musical forms, binary and ternary, musical forms, binary and ternary. Now, at the end of this lessons, you should be able to one define form in your own word. So the student should be able to define form, musical form in his own words. Secondly, the student should be able to mention the musical forms as taught. Then finally, they should be able to identify the musical forms of any given piece of music. They should be able to identify the musical form of any given piece of music. Let's have a quick recap on that. At the end of this lesson, you should be able to do three things at least. Define forms in your own word. Secondly, you should be able to mention the musical forms as taught. And finally, you should be able to identify the musical forms of any given piece of music. Now let's continue. What is musical form? What is a form? Now, when a composer wants to write a music, he normally chooses a design or plan on which he will base his composition. Now, these plans or designs on which musical compositions are based are called forms. Therefore, in music, form can be defined as the structural design or plan of a musical composition. The structural design or plan of a musical composition is known as the form. So, in a nutshell, it tells us that before a composition, the composer adopts a structure how he wants the music to look like. That is what is called the form of the music. That is what is called the form of the music. He wants it to have a beginning and end. It is fine. He wants it to have a beginning and a contrast in the middle. Then it ends. It is fine. That is what he wants. So now let's look into the types of musical forms. Now remember we said a form is a structural design or plan of a musical composition. Okay. We shall be discussing basically two types of forms. The first one is the binary form, and the second one is the ternary form. So, the structural plan we're talking about a composer can adapt can be in two forms, either it's in the binary form or the ternary form. Sorry. So let's look into what a binary form is like. A binary form is a two-phase structure containing the opening phrase and the closing phrase. Now, the phrase can also be called a questioning phrase and an answering phrase. Thus, binary form is also known as the A-B form. A stands for questioning phrase while B is the answering phrase. Now, we all know some our culture, most of our folk songs are always in the binary form. The call and the response, the question and the answer. So having said that, let's try and see an example from our folk song, a song we sing every day. Okorigwe, okorigwe, zamiri zamzam, ibu okorigwe, zamiri zam. So you see, that of the call is the first phase, while that of the response is in the second phase. Okay, so remember the binary form has two two phrases, sorry. It has two phrases, the questioning phrase and the answering phrase. And remember, it can also be called the A and B form. Remember, it can also be called the A and B form. Let's look into the ternary form. The ternary form is a three-phase structure. Remember, the binary form is a two-phase structure. The ternary form is a three-phase structure consisting of the opening phase, the contrasting phase, and the concluding phase. It's a three-phase structure consisting of the opening phase, the contrasting phase, and the concluding phase. Now, in the opening phase, you have the idea about the work. You have the idea about the work. Now, in the contrasting phase, that's the second phase, you have something that is contrasting to the idea of the work. Then, in the concluding phrase, you now have something that looks like the beginning phrase, but a little different. That's why it's called a three-phase structure. So the contrasting phrase and the concluding phrase, which is a repeat of the opening phrase. Now, in this form, the first section is complete in itself. The second section is contrasting of the first one. Now, the third section is quite a repeat of the first section, but sometimes they are slightly some changes. So remember, we said the binary form has two structures, while the ternary form has three structures. The binary form can be known as the AB structure or AB form, while the ternary is known as the ABA form. Okay, let's continue so that we can understand the ternary form more. Now, because of the structure of the ternary form, the first section is labeled A, second section B, while section 3 is also labeled A. Remember, we said the section 3 looks like the section 1, just that there are some little contrasting things. So now let's take, for example, there's this very popular song that we sing every day in our churches. Okay. Stand up for Jesus, ye soldiers of the cross. Now that is A, A, the beginning. That is A. You can also call it the beginning. Hmm? So stand up for Jesus, ye soldiers of the cross. Lift high his royal banner. He must not suffer loss. That's the end of the beginning. Remember, I said at the beginning is complete in itself. Then this is the B, the contrasting one. From victory unto victory, his army shall he leads. Now we are entering the third part. The third part, which is the A. Till every foe is vanquished and Christ is Lord indeed. So now you just sing, stand up for Jesus, ye soldiers of the cross. Lift high his royal banner, it must not suffer loss. From victory unto victory, his army shall he lead. Till every foe is vanquished, and the Christ is Lord indeed. So now, as a musicologist or someone that have been studying music, you'll be able to say, okay, how can I divide this song? When you divide it, you're not going to see the structure. You're going to see stand up for Jesus is the A. Then you get to a place where it's rising. It's leaving the original plan. It's rising. It's different from the first one. Then after that, after that, you know, see, it's resolved. Then another part is entering, and that part looks like the first one. That's when you now know that it is a ternary form. It is in the ternary form. I think we should take another example. Another example of one of the songs here too. We talked about Rock of Ages. Rock of Ages. Now look how it is structured. Rock of Ages, cleft for me. Let me hide myself in thee. Now that's the A part. Listen to this one, you will see that something is changing. Let the water and the blood from thy river side which flowed. That part is finished. Now let's check the last one. Be of sin. You know, we want to sound like Rock of Age. Be of sin, the double kill. Save me from its guilt and power. So that's the last example we shall be taking of the ternary form. So with this, I want to believe that you can now differentiate between the binary and the ternary. Remember, the binary is the two phrase, while the ternary is three. Hmm? The ternary is three phrase structure, while the binary is two phrase, two phrase structure. Hmm? Okay, so let's have a quick recap of what we've done. Now, the students were taught the following: one, definition of forms in music. Remember, we defined forms. We defined forms, and we said it's a structural design or plan of a musical composition. The structural design or plan of a musical composition. Now we also differentiated between forms. We said we had a binary form, we had the binary form and the ternary form. We had the binary form and the ternary form, and we explained that the binary form is a song with two phrases, while the ternary is of three phrases. Then finally, we were taught how to identify the musical forms in any given piece of music. So they are going to sing it, you find out that okay, it has finished here. It is made up of call and response. If it's made up of call and response, it is of two phrases. If it's made up of something from the beginning, then a contrasting one, then something that looks like the one you sang in the beginning, then it is known as the ternary form. So with this, I think we've come to the end of our classes, our lessons today. Hmm? I want you all to try and keep the spirit, try and make it high, try and do your assignments, try and buckle up. Let it be that you're learning. Don't just do this for doing sake. I want you to always believe that what you're doing is substantive. And as you do it, please try and encourage your setmates to. They should do their lessons, they should do the assignments, they should do their class activities and the rest of them. Please continue staying safe. Thank you.